coverage of the President's 4-day development tour of the Ukambani region, and without diluting his speech, allow me to just point out some bullet pointers that he has been able to mention. Is that, of course, today he has launched the last mile connectivity and talking about over 2.3 billion for power for over 20,000 homestead. Of course, the construction of a dam to ensure that indeed people there have the most crucial product in the world, that is water. He has also talked about a new market will be constructed in a number of towns there in Ukambani, just to ensure that the locals continue to conduct their businesses. Of course, he is flanked by Deputy President and also the Honorable MP for Mwingi West, that is Charles Ngusi Anguna, famously known as Honorable CNN, and also the Governor Malombe of Kitui. My colleague Abdiaziz Hashim is keeping a keen eye and his lens on that bit, and he'll be bringing us a detailed report in our subsequent bulletin. Welcome back. My name is Njue. It's time for the news. It's a lunchtime news. The sign language interpretation, we have Lucy Mwaura. Later on, we'll be having a candid conversation in regard to risk management. I'll be hosting Stephen Gadai, who is the MD Eran. That discussion a little bit later. Moving on, Kenya and Ethiopia are forging a new path built on cooperation with an aim to beat socio-economic and climate changes to ease and ensure food safety across both sides of the Moyale border. For generations, communities along the border have faced isolation, limited access to healthcare and education, and the crushing weight of economic hardship. During a forum where representatives of local traders and farmers from both Kenya and Ethiopia met at Moyale and agreed on a raft of measures to ease cross-border trade, the head of Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD's Cross-Border Development Facilitation Office in Kenya, Galma Dida, said the agreements aim to transform lives, create a lifeline for communities that have long been overlooked.
Education is a child right for every child. You cannot chase them away. You have to support them. You have to go around. You have to get a sustainable solution such as this child access basic services, which is education.
What I realized is, Ethiopian side, there is no inspection of it. There is no there's no veterinary doctor who can inspect it. You will find communities telling you stories of finding a dead body in the bush. They come slaughter and they can share among themselves.
Police in Kirinyaga County are holding 3 Nigerian nationals suspected to be at the center of a series of criminal activities. The trio was arrested in a joint operation by police and immigration officers at a rented house in Mwaliko village, Ngurubani town. Our reporter Aaron Marie has this and more stories on the Crime Watch.
According to the Kirinyaga County Criminal Investigation Officer Justus Imana, a stunning array of suspicious items was recovered. They include 21 assorted mobile phones, 62 SIM cards, 37 Visa cards, 12 unidentified SIM cards, 3 passports, 7 different foreign currencies, and a laptop and a notebook. Police are now urging members of the public who may have been victims of the crime to come forward to identify their items.
We are calling upon members of the public who may have fallen victim to these criminals who have been stealing from them, to come forward and identify them so that the law can take its course. We intend to take them to court tomorrow and request for more time to enable us finish our investigations.
And in Transmara West, 3 individuals are in police custody for allegedly stealing electric cables from a critical power distribution project.
Tunashangaa supervisor ambaye amepewa achunge hii project ya stima, niye mwenyewe ndio sasa amekuwa mhusika mkuu, anaiba, anauza vitu illegally, mawaya stima, ma cables.
Wakati hizo vitu zilianza kuibiwa, drum sita ya stima zilienda na wajamaa wakaanza kusema labda ni community, kumbe wao wenyewe supervisor ndiye anauza vitu.
Finally, in Butere, Kakamega County, a major drug bust has recovered a significant quantity of narcotics off the streets. This follows a tip-off from the locals. Acting on the intelligence, police officers raided a homestead in Ibushitinzi village and recovered 4 full sacks of bang. The main suspect is still at large.
To have been transported from our neighboring country, and they are targeting where we enough these narcotics. It's close to a public institution. We suspect that this consignment was for sale to our students and other local residents in that village. Ningependa kuwahimiza wananchi pia watupigie report. Wakitupigia report, tunakimbia haraka, tunashika. Na ningewahimiza pia wawe on the lookout, because most of these criminals have local links in the villages, which we are following leads so that they will get them arrested and prosecuted.
Reporting for Lunchtime News, I'm Aaron Marie.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission will closely monitor activities around the rescheduled police recruitment to avert any activities that would give some hopefuls undue advantage. Chief Executive Officer Abdi Mahmoud warns parents and guardians to shun bribery, as anyone found culpable shall be dealt with in accordance with the law. Achola Simon with the report.
In a statement read on his behalf by the Western Region Ethics and Anti-Corruption Manager Eric Ngumbi at the ongoing Anti-Graft Sensitization Forum for Bungoma County Assembly staff, the Anti-Graft Body Chief Executive Officer Abdi Mahmoud said EACC will closely monitor activities around the recruitment process.
Conmen posing as facilitators emerge promising shortcuts for a fee, which in many times end up in extortion of vulnerable and unsuspecting members of the public.
Mahmoud said graft at the recruitment stage threatens the security of the nation in the long run, as it compromises the quality of officers recruited.
In this regard, the Commission reminds the public that bribery in police recruitment has the potential to undermine merit, competence and accountability, with consequences that extend beyond the individual recruit to the society that they eventually serve when they finally finish their training and are deployed in various functional areas to discharge police.
At the same time, the Chief Executive Officer is also promising a hostile environment for county officials engaged in corruption.
We will continue to create a hostile environment for the corrupt, not only through investigations for the purposes of prosecution, but also by vigorously pursuing public funds that have been paid under illegal contracts, including tenders that have been awarded to individuals and entities through fraud and a conflict of interest.
To enhance the ongoing crackdown on fake academic certificates in the public service, Mahmoud has urged recruiting agencies to undertake verification of the certificates submitted by candidates before employing them.
Once that crackdown on forgery of academic certificates in the public service, EACC will not only recommend prosecution of the academic cheats, but will also file civil proceedings to recover all the salaries and the benefits earned by the individual over whatever period that they have worked using fake papers.
Achola Simon, Lunchtime News, Kisumu County.
Elsewhere, the body of a 41-year-old man who drowned in Limunga Dam, Nyahururu Sub-County, Laikipia County, has been retrieved by Red Cross divers 48 hours after he drowned. The deceased, Mbogwa Kiarie, reportedly drowned on Monday afternoon while setting up fishing nets in the dam.
Fishing in Limunga Dam, Laikipia County, an activity that he had done for years, sent shockwave among residents.
Alikuwa kukuja kutega samaki na alikuwa anaweka neti yake pale. Sasa unajua ukiweka pale neti, samaki mtu anakujaga mbele ya neti. Anapiga maji ndio samaki ikuja alafu igie kwa neti. Hapo ndio aliega.
The dam, which is popular among residents as a source of fish and for irrigation and domestic water, now stands as a symbol of death. Confirming the incident, Area Chief Mudhura Murithi urged fishermen to exercise caution while fishing.
Maji iko hapa na haitahama. Na hii maji in one way or the other sinatusaidia. So wakati sasa tunaenda kwa maji na watu wengine hawajakuwa good in swimming, wacha tukue na watu wengine ambao wanapiga doria wanatuangalia ili sasa tujue exactly mtu akienda pale akae kama amezama tutaweza kumwokoa kwa haraka.
The area county assembly member Simon Kanyutu, in commending the Red Cross for retrieving his body, emphasized the need to introduce swimming and diving trainings for the locals to avert similar incidences in future.
Kwa hivyo ningeomba sijui vile tutaagana na serikali itusaidie angalau hii dam ilishibuliwa wakati ya msuko. Tangu siku ile haijaitolewa mchanga. Kwa hivyo hata wale wanaenda kuvua samaki pale, wakienda pale washikwa na mtope anatibiria pale.
The body of the late Mbugua Kiarie was taken to Rumuruti Funeral Home as burial preparations begin. Wapicho Chemtai for Lunchtime News.
Now, the Attorney General has filed an application urging the court to set aside Monday's decision by the Constitutional Division of the High Court that stopped the National Police Service from recruiting police officers on the 17th of November this year. The Chief Government Council argues that the National Police Service has already deployed resources for the recruitment exercise.
The Attorney General in application argues that there is a pending general election in 2027 which needs heavy security and time is needed to train the recruited officers, among other issues. The Chief Government Council wants the court to issue orders allowing the Inspector General of Police and the National Police Service to go ahead with the exercise, which is scheduled for next Monday. Elsewhere, former Kilome MP John Harun Mwau was denied being a director of Pepe International Limited, a company that was linked with cocaine valued at 6 billion shillings.
Plaintiff does not own Pepe Inland Container Terminal, nor is he aware of any goods bound for the said terminal which were seized in Mombasa in a massive security raid.
Appearing before Professor Justice Nixon Sifuna, Mwau testified he is a shareholder of a company trading as Pepe Limited.
Inland Container Depot. I do not know about it. I'm total stranger.
He told the judge that the article published by Nation Media Group 21 years ago, linking him to the importation of cocaine, has tainted his reputation as a leader.
Lord, the effect of this statement is that the publisher when they were linking me with the drug haul at Pepe International Container whatever, it was not true.
The matter will proceed on 16th January 2026. And several bags of copper cables valued at 1.6 million shillings were produced in court on Wednesday as prosecution evidence in a case where a woman has been charged with handling stolen energy equipment.
This is used by Kentraco.
The ones are thick.
Yes, thick.
And they're usually used by
Kentraco for the high voltage transmission line.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
The investigating officer Nicholas Solesena told the court that they recovered items including high-voltage copper cables and components from Safaricom, Ketraco and American Telecommunications, and that the accused Sheila Chao Moikasi had no registration certificate as required by law.
Your Honor, this gun is labeled as, this were labeled Kenha. And these are the materials belonging to Kenya.
Kenya has only one gun bag?
Yes, just only one gun bag.
However, during cross-examination by the defense team, Olesina stated there was no direct documentation linking the recovered items to Ketraco. Trial Magistrate Robinson Ondieki will deliver a ruling on November 17th, 2025.
Away from the corridors of justice, Homa Bay Town legislator Peter Kaluma is calling on the Senate to expedite the passage of the Assisted Reproductive Technology Bill passed on Tuesday in the National Assembly. Addressing the media in Parliament buildings, Kaluma also urged the Senate to ensure that the pillars and columns instituted by the National Assembly to prohibit commercial surrogacy and to protect the children born through assisted reproductive technology in the country from dangers of organ harvesting, pedophilia and other abuses are not shaken.
Let me caution the Senate that they should remember the bill after the Senate will return to the National Assembly. If any changes will be made so long as we are in that parliament, which will interfere with these fundamentals around the protection of the child and the protection of this process from abuse, we will, of course, again amend them, which will risk sending the bill to mediation where it may be lost. I want to ask that we don't do anything that is unprincipled, that may secure that this law is lost. The law, as is now, is good.
Moving on, nominated Senator Crystal Asige is challenging the media to play a stronger role in promoting inclusivity under the newly enacted Persons with Disabilities Act 2025. The senator spoke during a media roundtable in Nairobi where she highlighted key provisions of the law and called for fair representation of persons with disabilities.
For a very long time, the disability fraternity has questioned the rationale behind subjecting us with permanent disabilities to periodic reassessment. It begs the question, why should someone diagnosed with a chronic condition such as epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, or with permanent disabilities such as spina bifida, deafness, blindness, or deaf blindness, which is both, how can they continue to prove that they're still disabled? These conditions are permanent, right? How much more indignity and humiliation does our government want us to endure? Do you know that to undergo reassessment every 5 years and secure a certificate is only targeted at us, PWDs, and therefore ends up being a form of discrimination, actually?
Back to the corridors of justice, 3 suspects have been arraigned at the Makadara law courts facing charges of obtaining goods worth 8 million shillings by false pretenses. The trio, Halima Ismail Samson, Andrew Mwendwa Masaku and Angeline Mwende Njeru, appeared before Chief Magistrate Beatrice Kimemia charged with 2 counts, obtaining goods by false pretense. According to prosecution, on diverse dates between the 26th day of September and 3rd day of October 2025 at Menengai Oil Refineries Limited at industrial area within Nairobi County, jointly with others not before the court, with intent to defraud, obtained from Abdullahi Iman Nur 1,000 cartons of bar soap, all valued at 3,830,000 and 3.2 million respectively, by falsely pretending that they were in a position to pay them back immediately after delivery. They both denied the charges and were freed on a bond. The hearing date has been set for 21st of April next year. Let's now make sense of shillings and cents in business. Cooperative Bank Group has reported 21.6 billion shillings in net profit during the first 9 months of this year, representing a 12.3% increase that was powered by higher interest income. Following the profits, the bank has declared an interim dividend payout of 1 shilling per share to shareholders.
Cooperative Bank increased net loans and advances to customers from 381.3 billion shillings to 406.5 billion shillings as at the end of September 2025. From this, the lender booked 42.2 billion shillings in interest income on loans and advances, which is 7.2% higher than what it made during a similar period in 2024. In addition, total non-interest income was flat at 22.1 billion shillings, mainly on account of lower fees and commissions on loans and advances, as well as foreign exchange trading income. On the other hand, total interest expenses reduced from 24.9 billion shillings to 22.6 billion shillings. Furthermore, total other operating expenses increased from 32.8 billion shillings to 37.7 billion shillings, mainly on account of higher staff costs after the group opened more branches and loan loss provision. Cooperative Bank increased the loan loss provision during the period from 5.58 billion shillings to 7.36 billion shillings. This is after gross non-performing loans increased from 70.0 billion shillings to 78.9 billion shillings. Customer deposits rose 6.7% to 548.58 billion shillings, while total assets increased 8.6% to 815.27 billion shillings. Cooperative Bank plans to spend 5.88 billion shillings on paying shareholders interim dividends at the rate of 1 shilling per share.
Farmers Choice is stepping up its extension service, targeting livestock farmers across Kenya to enhance supply of livestock for processing meat products. Farmers Choice CEO Felicitas Gitau says there has been an increase in demand for beef products, which has prompted the meat processor to enhance enrollment of farmers to supply cattle. Speaking during the launch of Cook-Out series, Felicitas said the plan is to transform local produce into safe and high-quality meals.
We use beef meat that is from cattle. So we are working with farmers, both from the pastoralists, aggregators, and also the dairy farmers, because they also grow their bulls. And we are buying this for our meat so that we can make sure that we have that in our sausages. We are educating them. We have the farm extension officers who come on the ground. Disease management is a headache in our region. Cost of feed, we work with what is available in your ecosystem. We also provide free transport. We collect the animals from across the country so that we can be able to avail the best market for the farmers.
In the news, ICT Principal Secretary John Tanui is challenging innovators to step up development of technologies tailored to the needs of the country. Tanui says the government is keen on supporting developers create a local software which will enhance adoption of modern technology. Benson Rioba reports.
Latest research shows that 96% of organizations in Kenya have started adopting artificial intelligence in their operations. The government has lined up a number of key policies meant to accelerate development of artificial intelligence infrastructure in the country.
We have the AI strategy in place. We are currently working on the AI policy. We are also looking at concluding the development of data governance policy and strategy. This will also enhance this ecosystem.
He said development of local artificial intelligence software will reduce importation of technology and ensure Kenyans use technologies tailored for the country.
On the side of government, we've done whatever is required to make sure we mainstream and make it possible for the private sector and all the other stakeholders to participate.
The government plans to use local AI software to create a database that will guide development agenda in the country.
Kenya has been consuming software from all over the world in terms of purchase and use and all that. But now, with the training that has taken place in the last many years about technology in Kenya, Kenya now is at a position that it can develop its own software.
The Kenya AI Strategy 2025-2030 outlines how the country will harness the transformative power of artificial intelligence for sustainable development, economic growth, and the well-being of citizens.
If I use the example of e-citizen solutions, for the last 14-15 years, it has developed itself into becoming a Kenya software house.
Benson Rioba reporting for Lunchtime News.
And those developing digital products and services should embed security while designing them. ICT and the Digital Economy Principal Secretary John Tanui says cybersecurity should no longer be viewed as a purely technical function, but as a strategic management issue that directly affects business continuity and national resilience.
Data from the Communications Authority of Kenya indicates there were 4.6 billion detected cyber threats in April, May and June 2025. Critical information infrastructure, financial services, healthcare and telecommunication providers are major targets. The rise in cyber threats has underscored the need for stronger, more coordinated defense mechanisms across sectors. To enhance protection, those developing systems to enable online operators are being challenged to incorporate security features. Njue believes artificial intelligence and machine learning are key tools that could help in detecting and reporting to cyber threats faster and more accurately.
We do apologize for that technical hitch in that clip, and especially when it came to the audio part of it, but we are rectifying it, and as soon as we do, it will be part and parcel of our subsequent bulletin. Moving on, French development finance institution Proparco has announced a new investment in the Kipeto wind farm to expand clean energy generation. The investment involves installation of 18 additional turbines to boost Kipeto wind farm electricity generation.
Mwea was lagging in water coverage, both for domestic and irrigation. This is why in this current financial year, we have allocated for phase 1, 100 million shillings for the expansion of water in Mwea sub-county. We have already implemented over 200 water projects across the county, raising the number of active water projects from 170 in 2017 to 370 currently, and extending safe and reliable water to over 100,000 households.
Report in regards to clean water supply in Kirinyaga County. There, the governor Anne Waiguru making her statements in regards to that. But unfortunately, we won't continue with that. We want to switch gears a little for the interactive segment. I had mentioned earlier on, we are looking at business risk management. Stephen Gadai is the MD for Errand, which is explicit risk and audit data limited. Karibu sana to the program.
Thank you very much.
Very quickly, and because we are out of time, what exactly do we mean when we talk about business risk management, and why is it key for any enterprise?
Thanks, Troy, for having me today to discuss on this critical matter. Risk management for business means asking yourself what could go wrong when you are doing your business. every business is started with an objective of making profits and growing. But the reality is, majority of business, to a tune of 70%, don't achieve the growth so desired. So now, with risk management, you ask yourself, what would make my business not make profits or grow sustainably? And you put in place mitigative controls to ensure that this risk, maybe like frauds, you've put enough controls to ensure that these frauds don't happen. And if they happen, you are able to detect them. And maybe for a better explanation of this, especially in the Kenyan context, Kenya is in demand of about 1 million jobs annually. These jobs would only come from businesses that are thriving and doing well. And also in the African context, Africa is in need of about 11 to 12 million jobs annually. And it's only 3 million jobs that are created annually. And Kenya creating just about 40% of the 1 million jobs that we need. So that's why risk management is very critical for all enterprises so that we are able to bridge the gap of employment by having these jobs growing.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that you've asked. You have to think about what could go wrong. I'm looking at fraud. I'm looking at internal theft, maybe even by workers. How do we address this?
Thanks very much. When it comes to internal frauds, statistics, or now through risk management, what I've observed, and my fellows in the industry can attest to that, 30% of businesses incur frauds that are not able to detect. So how do we go about it? Within your business, like now you have a revenue generation. You ask yourself, what could be the revenue risks within my business that I need to track? And one of the things that can assist businesses track this is through automation. Automations help us identify where the gaps are, and also use of data for making informed decision making. Because now when you use data, it helps to reconcile easily transactions, and whatever is not adding up, you are able to detect it. And also now use of intelligence where systems have triggers. We say not operating on trust, because you find most of the businesses, and 80% of Kenyan business, or even Africa, are SMEs, and they operate mainly by trust. I say, Troy is my brother, he can steal from me. That is far from truth. Because the core reasons why frauds happens in institution is because of financial pressure, and you find every person has pressure for finances. Times are hard. So they devise mechanisms of trying to make a sharing or two at the expense of business. So there must be that deliberate effort through continuous auditing and checking of the risk that revolves around fraud. Yes.
And on the flip side, what is the risk of non-compliance for an entity?
Thanks very much for that. Putting it in the Kenyan context, one of the key regulators of every business is KRA. We are hearing a lot of businesses complaining about KRA, but KRA is not doing wrong, because a country can only be run from taxes. And now every business is entitled to pay taxes. But the sad reality is majority of businesses are venturing without even knowing what kind of taxes they are supposed to be paying. And this failure to pay these taxes on time, or even the taxes that they are expected to, they end up paying a lot of penalties and fines. These fines are evitable. And when these businesses pay these fines, where would they get money now even to scale? This is money that could be being used to do that. Because you find KRA last year collected about 2.4 trillion. And over 10% of this money was from penalties and fines. And these are evitable. These constitute a lot of time wastages, moving from one office to another, closure of business. There is a popular saying now, VAT special table. A lot of businesses have been put on it for VAT non-compliances. They are supposed to be digital on e-teams. Businesses are not there. And now, another key thing, not only evasion of that tax, most of the corporates or well-established businesses won't be trading with non-compliant agents. And you find most of the business remain not scaling and remain small, Because by not being compliant, they can't trade with Safaricom's of this world. They can't trade with banks because they need compliant businesses. And then you are there complaining that there is no business. But it's you yourself who you are cutting the opportunities that were available even for you to trade with. Yes.
So I've seen you also a certified data scientist. So as a data scientist, it's always good to say that give unto Caesar what belongeth to Caesar.
Yes.
And to God what belongs to God. So for KRA, let them have their own, and you have your profits as well.
Yes,
now, I'm looking at companies. Companies do use data for sound decision making. So we decide maybe this is the amount that we are going to, these are projections. What is the risk of a company not using that data for risk management?
Thanks very much. We are in an era where there is a lot of data that is being generated through the systems that we are using. Like everybody on WhatsApp, Twitter, all these are data generation. And you find most of the businesses that are not using data correctly are not advancing, because it's only through data you are able to set very clear KPIs. And we say whatever is not measurable does not have impact. You can't measure that, you can't quantify. And data helps us in doing that, because if you commit resources, let's say like 100 million in a certain project, through data you are able to track the progress of that project, and you are able to monitor like every cost aspect of that project. If you have like 10 employees, through data you are able to measure their performance objectively, and there are a lot of conflicts that will be evitable through now objective measuring. Like now, if I'm running a club, I have 10 cashiers, or I have 10 supervisors. Data will show that Troy sold 5 million shillings last month, Steve sold 2 million shillings last month, and we were at work the same time. What is the difference? And now when you put these results on the table, you'll be very objective. And that, so now data helps improve profitability, and that's the profit that we talked of, that where it is not applied, there is that risk of not making profits or even turning into losses. And eventual is the closure of companies or businesses that are not using data correctly. And also, through data, there is need for proper interpretation of this data. Because if you don't have the right skills on data, you are not able to digest what does this mean? What does this cost translate to return on investment? Yes.
And I'm looking at what you've just said, Stephen, that application of data to make informed decisions. So how about the skills gap?
Thanks very much. One of the key risks that I have observed, and is very clear in business, a lot of people have capital or resources to invest, but they lack the prerequisite skills that are financial for them to invest their money. And that's where you find a lot of business, as I was saying, 70% collapsing. A good number of this business collapse because the founders of this business didn't have the right skills. Or you find you started a business at an early stage where you were able to manage everything, but the business is growing, there is demand in the market, but you don't have now the skills to manage a business of, like now I would say maybe putting it into context, it's like moving a class 2 student to a university and you expect them to deliver. And that's where a lot of business, they need to invest in skills, in upgrading. Because you find also skills tend to turn obsolete. They keep changing. So we do sensitization of that every business that is forward-looking, they must ensure that development of skills within their labor force is enhanced.
All right. My final question as we wrap up is that we are looking at a succession plan. I'm looking at it this way. When I'm not around, I've gone for leave, somebody else will sit in here. But there are some companies where you find that you're the only one who knows how to do something, even the only one who can invoice things, you're the only one who can purchase things. How do we work around this so that we may avoid such scenarios? How is it wrap up?
Thanks very much for that. And to put it into context, at least all of us saw what happened during COVID. Founders of business They were healthy yesterday, and today they didn't wake up. So now that comes now to the succession issue. And what cures now succession is ensuring that every business has clarity in terms of standard operating procedures. We probably call them SOPs. These SOPs guide us on what happens, why, when, and timelines, so that if I don't report work today, like now I'm here on TV, my business should not stop, should be operating. Because these SOPs, we call them as institution Bible or institution constitution as the reference point. And these ensure that the business continues.
Okay.
Yes.
And unfortunately, Stephen Gadai, we are out of time. And thank you indeed so much for your insight. And this is a conversation that we need to open up, because I also would like to know exactly what you do as a certified data scientist. But we have been looking at business risk management, a conversation that we need to also relook, and especially if you are having an SME, which mostly you find all these challenges, mostly they don't find those big companies, those established ones, but you as a small scale trader, because 40%, 60% of these businesses are small scale. But moving on, French development finance institution Proparco has announced a new investment in the Kipeto wind farm to expand clean energy generation. The investment involves installation of 18 additional turbines to boost Kipeto wind farm electricity generation.
Kipeto Wind Power, the country's second largest wind energy project in Kenya, has announced plans to expand its wind farm in Kajiado County. The move follows an equity co-investment by French development finance institution Proparco in their 100-megawatt facility.
So I think it's a significant milestone, as much as France and Kenya have a partnership in the field of energy. I want to commend, it's not only government, it's also private investors. And I want to commend Meridian for also have sourced some of its equipment in France.
The expansion will see the installation of 18 additional turbines, adding to the existing 60 units that generate 1.7 megawatts each.
We believe that we are well positioned, just 11 kilometers to the 17 kilometers, to the Isinya substation to be ready to produce more power and expand the plant.
The investment aligns with the Kenya's vision of achieving 100% renewable electricity production and universal energy access by the year 2030. Sylvia Gatti for Lunchtime News.
And from making sense of business, now we shift gears to matter sport, where the Kenya national Deaflympics team is heading to Japan today ahead of the Tokyo 2025 Summer Deaflympics to run from the Saturday to the 26th of this month. The Kenyan team of 180 members was flagged off yesterday and will compete in 5 disciplines, that is athletics, men's handball, swimming, women's basketball and golf. The team was motivated before their trip, with the government promising to reward them equally as their counterparts who competed in the World Championship, with each medalist receiving 3, 2 and 1 million shillings for gold, silver and bronze medals respectively. Any athlete who will break a world record will pocket 5 million shillings. At the last edition in Brazil 3 years ago, Kenya collected a total of 24 medals, 5 gold, 7 silver and 12 bronze, and they will be making their 8th appearance in the Deaflympics after their debut in the 1997 edition in Copenhagen, Denmark. Elsewhere, Nigeria will face Gabon as Cameroon takes on DR Congo in the semi-finals of the 2026 CAF FIFA World Cup playoffs scheduled today, Thursday, in Rabat, Morocco. 4-time African champions Nigeria will meet Gabon in the first semi-finals, which kicks off at 7 p.m. at the Prince Moulay Hassan Stadium in Rabat. DR Congo, that is, and Cameroon will then clash in a Central African derby at 9 p.m. The visitors of today's semi-finals will move on to the finals on the 16th, where the ultimate winner will advance to the Intercontinental Playoff scheduled for March 2026, with the draw for the FIFA World Cup 2026 playoff tournament and the European playoff is scheduled for Thursday, November 20th, 2025 in Zurich, Switzerland. 28 teams have already qualified for next year's historic tournament, while an additional 14 countries, 3 from the CONCACAF and 11 from UEFA, are vying for a spot in the finals through Confederation qualifying this month. 9 African nations have already secured their spot in the tournament: Cape Verde, Egypt, Ghana, South Africa, Senegal, Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria, and Ivory Coast. Bayern Munich gave a stunning performance yesterday night at the Allianz Arena, where they came from 2 goals down to beat Arsenal 3-2 in a UEFA Women's to open the scoring through Emily Fox's header, which they doubled after 23 minutes through Mariona Caspella. Finished 6 minutes later, gave Bayern the win. Manchester United, on the other hand, beat Paris Saint-Germain, PSG 2.
And she gets the wrong side of her. Here's Mallard. Fantastic finish. Grönen lays it off to Camona.
When the Champions League is back, Arsenal will be facing Bayern Munich at Arsenal stadiums, and we are expecting, of course, to see fireworks there. Anyway, that's all the time we had for KBC Lunchtime News. Many thanks indeed for joining us. My name is Njue. Lucy Maura has been my colleague on the sign language interpreter on the bottom of your screen. Check out this news and much more in our social media spaces. Have a good one.